this? Okay. Seems kind of low quality. It's like RuneScape. Oh. I think this is a remake of an old game. It looks like it's a remake. Sacred Gold? Yeah, I've never seen this game at all. I don't know what it is. Alright, let's see what else they got. Watch that be the end of it.
Do you remember when you first met him?
No.
Met. I can't say I ever met him. It's more like he burst in like a hurricane.
What the fuck?
Oh, like last week when the roofs across the street got blown away?
I was certainly blown away. I remember thinking he was the first beautiful person I had ever seen in my life.
What? That old man?
It seems all right.
He was in his early 30s then.
That's
Damn.
what I said. An old man.
Well, for an old man, he sure was full of life. And inventive.
Guys!
He had a lot of dreams.
I don't know about this.
Out I had dreams of my own. He got greedy. And I realized I needed to be greedy sometimes too. He could be cruel.
Oh, bro, he
Isn't
just
it
pulled his
bad
tail
to
off.
be greedy?
And he'd never shut up about that stupid treasure. He kept studying his
Uh-oh.
maps, poring over his notes, over and over and over again.
What's wrong with treasures?
He may be an old man to you, but when he was blabbering on about treasure, I saw a boy.
It was a
What's
hippo.
wrong with
It's
boys?
Mudang.
Was I not a fool for believing a boy?
Maybe he was just gonna...
I said, was I not a fool for believing a boy?
This bitch is crazy.
I don't know, Mom. I guess if the treasure...
Can't you hear what I am
Damn, bro.
telling you? He dreamed of nonsense. He was greedy for nonsense. He was cruel because of nonsense. He filled my head with nonsense, and I believed
Average divorced
in
mom.
nonsense. And one day,
Yep.
Mom, if you don't want...
and one day he will come back and pay for everything. Do you understand me or not?
Yeah, there it is. Holy crash out? I guess so. That is good, though.
Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Mom, I'm sorry.
The Eternal Life
You're
of
right,
Goldman.
Mom. You're right.
I don't know. I mean,
hear
the
me?
story is a little bit crazy,
sorry.
bro. Like,
I
yeah,
won't do
what
it
the
again.
fuck? What is that?
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, Mom. Mom.
Child, a divorced child mom without a... Yeah, she's not getting her child support payments, obviously. That must be it. Oh. Oh. Oh, this is that game. It's kind of like PoE. It's like PoE 1.5. By kind of like, I mean, it's pretty much the exact same thing. This looks pretty good. Good graphics. It's decent. It's passable. It's not great. It's good. Oh, look at that. I never played the original Titan Quest. That guy just ran right into it. Damn. So they got early access going out right now for this game. Holy shit. It's out now, yeah. Ooh, this looks good. Okay. Please don't be garbage. We've got a medieval game with an executioner.
I believe that you can choose your path.
This has got to be good, right? No, these are real people. This game's gonna suck. It's gonna be like a turn-based game.
I could have become anyone. A merchant, a priest,
Yeah, this is real people.
a blacksmith.
I think. I told you.
Or a thief.
I told you. I could tell. I knew
But
it.
I decided to uphold the law. The town flourished with culture and business. But not everyone played fair.
So let's see some combat, huh? Let's see some real gameplay.
In the most unlikely of situations, I fell in love.
Wow. Wow.
Over the years, I secured my succession. And my hard work paid off.
That's kind of cool.
But times were not always good.
That's not.
War and famine brought hardship. And hardship brought back my old enemy.
Uh-oh.
I learned that politics
Entire
is a
budget went to the
dirty
trailer?
game, and
Yeah,
even
maybe a
small
bit.
crooks can become powerful. But I've always wanted justice.
Uh-oh.
Which path will you choose?
Yeah. I told y'all it was gonna be some bullshit, right? I could tell. The Guild, Europe 1410. That's just not a game style I enjoy. Nothing personal. Actual gameplay.
Have you ever wondered why the formation of the barrier went out of control? I know the other mages haven't, but I'm not like the other mages.
I'm not like the other
I
ones.
see everything. And I see how the barrier affects all living things in
This is
this
the Gothic remake?
godforsaken colony.
I played a little bit of this. It wasn't
Every
very good.
convict will eventually succumb to its influence. The old camp, with their pitiful illusion of order and safety. And yes, the so-called Brotherhood of the Sleeper, worshipping their mysterious god.
Uh-oh.
They might be onto something. And the orcs. Well, you might dismiss their culture as primitive, but it would be prudent to study them carefully. Maybe the key to all of this lies buried deep under their sanctuaries.
I thought they said this was actual
I
gameplay.
cannot unravel these mysteries all alone.
This is
I
claymation.
need allies. Allies who look out for more than their own survival.
Oh, those fuck
Allies
asses
who
killed me.
accomplish things you might have considered impossible. Allies I will meet soon enough.
Oh. That does look really good. Yeah, this seems like a full-on remake. Well, literally, I actually just realized it says remake. Yeah, it's a remake, guys. I'm gonna give this game another try, and you know, like try to put in 100% and understand it when it comes out. I just remember the combat felt horrible, so I stopped playing. Oh. You turn into a dog? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a game like this, to me, like, combat is everything in video games. This game's combat was a little bit weak, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to play it all the way through. But I'll at least try it out and try to give it a good, honest try when it finally comes out and it releases. What's this? This game, is this, this is a new game that's coming out. I'm glad at least we're getting, like, original, like, old dark fantasy, like, games, though. I mean, regardless of, like, whether I think the game is good or not, I'm glad at least for the style. Damn. That's cool. 0 new ideas. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe this is gonna be a new idea. I've never seen a boat before. This is the first boat. There's a royal revenant. Uh-oh. Walk the fuck away, right? Oh. I've never played any of the Little Nightmares games, but I think that they do this genre really well. For what it is. For what it be. They're very good. I hear good things about them. Really good job with atmosphere. Yeah, I can clearly see that. Ooh. Brother, may I have some oats? That's cool. Oh my god, it's a Discord moderator. It's a keychain? Oh my god! I thought we weren't gonna get that. Finally! Twitch staff? I think so. Following game is created by 10 passionate developers. Let me guess, it's going to be better than a game from Ubisoft with like 1,000 people. Let's find out. I feel like the less people work on a game, the better the game is. Alright. This is a 10 guy studio? What the fuck? Whoa. This looks great. And then you came druids? Oh shit. Hey yo, fuck druids. Okay. Yeah. Oh. 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 Frame rate? That's fine. It's a lizard. Show the boss fight. This is fucking badass. Is this like Avowed if it was made by people that didn't have blue hair? I think, yeah. See, this is what Avowed was supposed. Yes, this is supposed to be Avowed. Holy fuck. It's Avowed with no pronouns. Gentlemen. 10 good men. I love it. All right, when's it come out? Oh, the day this year. This winter. That's in like 4 months. Fuck yeah, I'll play the shit out of that. That looks awesome.
You will be hunted.
Don't tell me you're gonna have another one after this. You doing another one?
The White City for certain. The Council. And there will be others.
Oh, this is badass.
Wage this war alone?
No. Not alone.
Is that Arthas? That's it! Come on, give me some fucking gameplay. Wish list now. Okay, it's gonna come out in 5 years. Arthas is it basically is Arthas. The game's a decade late. I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. Some of these games actually look pretty good. Like, these games, it looks like these games are made for like a real gamer audience. Which is nice to see. You don't see that all the time nowadays, right? It's great. SpongeBob. It's refreshing? Yeah. See, this is the way video games used to be, guys. This is how every video game showcase was. Yeah. Yeah, this is great. The glow up? Yeah, finally. W show? Oh, fuck. That Darksiders thing was pretty cool. I feel like the one I'm most excited for is Avowed with no pronouns, though. That's the one I'm primarily the most excited for. That one looks fucking awesome. Because I went, after I played Avowed, I played Oblivion. And then after I played Oblivion, I did fucking, what do you call it? 28 games in development? That's a lot of games. 15 are unannounced. So this is even the majority of them. They haven't told you what it was. Yeah, fucking Fall of Avalon, whatever the fuck it was called. Yeah, Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. I played that. I beat that whole game on hard mode. The shit was good. It was a big dick game. So where's that driving game? I want to see that driving game. Okay, we'll look at a few of the ones that I missed out on. So yeah, I mean, this is a W, this is okay, this is a W. SpongeBob, who cares? Gothic, I played it, didn't really like it a lot. I'll try it again, because I really like the aesthetic a lot, so I want to like it. Like, I was so mad that I didn't like it. Hopefully they fix the combat a little bit. Fate Keeper, definitely the one I'm the most excited for. The Guild, not my style. The Eternal Life of Goldman, I don't know what the fuck that is, and I didn't see the other ones. So let's go back. I'll pull up and we'll look at a few of these other games. I'll just kind of go through it. Okay, so I don't really care about the SpongeBob game. I don't give a fuck about that. Okay, what about this? fast. Going big fast. Cool. Yeah, I would try that out. This is good. I feel like we don't have a good, like, we need to have a game like this. Like, back in the GameCube days, there was like 20 games like this. Now there's 0. Whatever happened to that? Are you a good racer? I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. Yeah, we have to find out. I don't know.
Hi, I'm Ethan, an animator at Digixar.
What's up,
and I'm here to
bitch?
give you a little insight into our next game, Tides of Tomorrow.
Tides of Tomorrow.
After Road 96, the team came together.
Someone beat us to it.
Oh, I saw this. This is not real. It's all right.
Asynchronous narration is our next step after the procedural story of Road 96. It supports the theme of protecting our planet. Every choice leaves a
I
mark.
don't know why every game has to be protecting the planet. Why can't we have a game where you're like the executive at an oil company and you have to like manage, like there's like different bars and you have to like manage paying off politicians and creating disinformation campaigns about climate change so you can keep killing the environment, and then eventually at the end of the game you win the game by the world having the ozone layer evaporate and being irradiated by the sun and everyone on the entire planet dying. Like, that's the win condition of the game. Why does every single game have to be saving the world? Why can't a game be killing everybody in the world? That would be way more fun.
Following the steps of a friend, a streamer, or a total stranger,
Yeah,
and
what
live
is
the
this?
impacts of their decisions through your own story. And yes, you can also play solo thanks to our offline journeys available.
No, I'm telling you, like, if I were to put my ideas in video games, they would probably put me in jail. Not for any sort of law, but just for the betterment of the human race. Yeah.
This feature is a new way of experiencing a story, where previous players can act in good or bad ways.
Cannibal game?
And every experience will be shaped
would have
by
that.
previous player choices.
You're saying
And you,
Steam would censor your
as you'll
game?
be
No, they
impacting
wouldn't
other
even let it
players'
on there.
journeys, what legacy will you leave behind?
Tidewalkers. Will you help us?
No. No, I love big oil. We love big pharma, big oil, big tobacco. Defense contract. Oh, shit.
One more thing. Here's an exclusive look at the new location in the game. This place is home to the Party of the Dead, where people come to dance until they die.
They come to dance until they die, okay. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of, that's a bit of a flopperooski to me. I just feel like it's a flopperooski. This is the last one we're going to look at. Oh. Just show the game. I don't care about this slow-mo shit. Show the game. Yeah, I get it. The cars crash and they fall apart. Show the game. I get it. This is the game? That's the game. I feel like the footage they showed earlier was way more badass than this. Join PC early access. Yeah, it looks alright. And this is the one that we already just got. We literally just got done seeing it. And the other ones are just like there's like this game, bro, like who the fuck is this for? I guess after people get done playing Tales of the Shire, they can go and play this. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Wow. We love this. What a good game. Watch the Goldman one? I did. It gave very big divorced mom energy. So there it is. Girl games, to be honest. Yeah, a little bit, right? Man, and Nintendo Direct yesterday. I always, listen guys, every time I take a day off, I miss out on everything. I do. It is insane how much I miss out on whenever I take one singular day off. It's very frustrating for me, honestly, but that's just the way it is now.
1 second, feminism is demonizing men for objectifying women, and in the next, it's encouraging girls to sell their body on OnlyFans so that men can objectify them. I mean, which is it? Are you sexually empowered, or are you a victim of oppression? I used to consider myself a feminist until I realized that women were using it as a means to justify going out like this and then complaining about being called hot. Shorty, have you seen your own ass? I swear to God, women are the only ones that can spend 2 hours doing their makeup and picking out an outfit and then still say they don't want to be judged on their appearance. Girl, you literally pulled up your leggings to your third rib and gave yourself the ultimate wedgie. We know you didn't dress like this for you. When you look at the actual definition of feminism, all it is supporting women having access to equal rights. I'm not gonna sit here and call myself an anti-feminist as someone who agrees with the core definition of feminism. But the problem is that the word has evolved to mean something very different. It's not just about women's rights anymore, there are other ideological strings attached. A major concept of modern feminism has been encouraging sexual liberation. This was started partly due to the double standard around sexuality for men and women. When a man frequently engages in casual sex, he's considered a stud, but when a girl does it, she's considered a slut. Sexual promiscuity leads to less satisfaction in relationships for both genders. Just because it's more socially acceptable for a guy to have casual sex doesn't mean women should be trying to match that expectation by normalizing it. Two wrongs don't make a right, and promoting a destructive behavior under the marketable guise of sexual liberation is abhorrent. It's so interesting how women constantly complain about how shallow and objectifying their relationships with men are, but then promote hookup culture, which directly encourages this exact transactional process. If feminism actually cared about women as much as it claims to, the movement would be encouraging them to be more selective about their sexual partners. It would be educating them about the negative effects of casual sex, since we know that it leads to decreased relationship satisfaction, loneliness, and depression. And look, I know people are going to take this as me trying to tell women how to live. That's not what I'm doing at all. You have all the freedom in the world to live exactly how you please. However, where I do have an issue is when a cultural movement is built on a foundation of lies. If you're going to have an entire movement, an entire ideology who claims its very goal is to benefit women, then encourage behavior that actually benefits women. At one point, this movement had genuinely pure intentions. It's the reason I have a right to vote and work and be educated. Feminism changed our lives as women for the better. So I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like now it's doing the complete opposite. It's a common feminist position to be anti-tradwife. They insist that tradwives have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they've fallen in love with their own oppression, claiming that it perpetuates traditional gender roles which have held women back. But I thought what actual feminism was supposed to be about was supporting women's freedom of choice. That means supporting them if they choose to climb the corporate ladder and supporting them if they choose to be a housewife. I thought the whole point of feminism was to respect a woman's freedom of choice, even if it's not the choice we would personally make. It was to recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all lifestyle for women and that they should be able to prioritize what's important to them. Feminism will argue against this by saying that choices don't exist in a vacuum and society impacts your ability to make autonomous decisions, but you can make that exact same argument on the other side too. I could sit here and tell you that your decision to be a feminist is because social media has brainwashed you into believing that women are oppressed. So your choice to be a feminist isn't a real choice at all, but instead a reaction to your cultural environment. You can run in circles forever trying to make this argument against either side. That's because it's a dumb argument. Who are you to assume that another woman's choices aren't autonomous? The mere assumption of that is actually quite anti-feminist of you. This is the female version of Sneeko calling everyone who disagrees with him a bot. You're accusing grown women of being incapable of coming to their own autonomous conclusions. That means you're doing the exact thing that you constantly accuse men of doing to you. Maybe some women like traditional gender roles. That's cool. Let them do their thing just like you're allowed to do yours. I'm the most masculine woman I've ever met. I should be the first in line to be championing the end of traditional gender roles. But I'm not like this because I'm resisting the patriarchy. This is just a part of how I am. I like buying stocks, playing with boobs. I'm just a chill guy. WAP. Women against porn. Except in today's terms, it means wet ass put. With modern feminism currently preaching sexual liberation, it may be surprising to learn that at one point it was the complete opposite. In the 1970s, anti-pornography was a growing part of feminism. And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense, because it's consistent with the core values of feminism, to demonize the objectification of women and stop the fetishization of sexual violence against them. We know that porn is overwhelmingly aggressive towards women. We also know that consumers are more likely to commit acts of sexual violence, less likely to intervene if they witness an assault, adult, and more likely to objectify and dehumanize women. Porn is seriously bad for both genders, but especially women. So to see the feminist movement glorify platforms like OnlyFans and other adult content feels like a complete slap in the face. How can you possibly complain about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then objectify yourself for profit? I don't understand how modern feminists have come to this conclusion. Actually, that's a lie. I do understand. I completely understand, because it would go against the sexual liberation movement. It goes against the sex positivity narrative. But one honest look at the statistics and it's blatantly clear. There's nothing liberating or positive about this industry. So what happened? Why did the anti-porn feminist protests stop? This article explains it perfectly. Anti-porn feminists were labeled sex negative in an era of feminism that was heavily influenced by liberalism. Individual choices, as opposed to mass liberation, became the forerunning feminist agenda. If that doesn't perfectly encapsulate the modern feminist movement, I don't know what does. The current movement wants all the ideals of feminism without having to sacrifice anything for it. The movement doesn't want to give up porn. It doesn't want to give up casual sex. That would be infringing on my personal freedoms. But maybe true liberation requires some personal sacrifice of those beloved freedoms. You can't eat a pound of cake every day and expect to lose weight. Your goals require a sacrifice. The issue of equal pay is another primary subject that feminists bring up. It's also probably the #1 most misrepresented topic in feminism. The gender pay gap does not exist because of the patriarchy oppressing women. The pay gap only exists because women are more likely to choose lower paying jobs. If you compare a man and a woman working at the same place, in the same position, with the same amount of experience working the same amount of hours, the pay is exactly the same. But when you compare the average income of men versus women, there's obviously going to be a gap. This is because men choose careers like car mechanics and truck driving, whereas women choose careers like teaching and nursing. A quick comparison of these incomes and it's easy to see why there's a pay gap. It's not misogyny that creates this gap, it's just preference. Women have all the freedom in the world to go be an automotive mechanic, just like men can become teachers, but that's not typically what each gender wants to do on average. So from the outside, when you show the statistic of the gender pay gap, everyone's jaw drops and jumps to conclusions about sexism, but if you just look a little deeper, it's easy to see why it's there. If you're a woman and you're unhappy with your salary as a teacher, go be a truck driver. It is actually that simple. Something I can't stand about the feminist movement, and really many other modern movements, is how evasive they are to taking responsibility. If you're not happy with your pay, change jobs. You don't have to make it a political movement. You don't have to find someone to blame. You can just do something to change your situation. You can't really talk about feminism without also talking about the red pill manosphere space. This is because they respond to one another culturally. The red pill purports that they have the solutions to these modern feminist problems. Spoiler alert, they don't. The red pill solution is extremely unrealistic for the majority of both men and women. The red pill has this idea that women need to just skip college and go back to being housewives, except that most of the men saying this would never be able to afford that lifestyle. Homie, you don't even have the career to be able to pay for the lifestyle of the woman that you want. The red pill will blame women for failing to fulfill their feminine roles without even recognizing that as men, they're failing just as badly at fulfilling their masculine ones. I really don't think that the red pill's idea of expecting men to be able to afford supporting an entire family on their one income is realistic at all. I think in theory the traditional family dynamic is a great idea and would make very happy, healthy relationships, but in modern times less than 1/4 of men will ever be financially capable of achieving such a feat. In today's economy, the trad lifestyle is reserved for only the most prosperous men. But yet the red pill preaches it like it's the majority solution. Pew Research shows in 2022, only 23% of households had the husband as the sole provider of income. That means 77% of women were contributing to household income. Most guys just aren't out here making enough money to support himself, a woman, and kids. And in today's economy, I would say that's pretty understandable. What I don't see the red pill talking about is how a lot of women would love to adopt the traditional lifestyle, but there's just not enough prosperous men to go around. Given an alternative, many women might very well choose to be a housewife. Feminism might be the only movement that can get away with constantly complaining about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then simultaneously objectify themselves. The problem is that this movement wants all the benefits of feminism without any of its consequences. Say you want equality until you realize that means splitting the bills, unclogging the toilet, and having to kill the spider. In modern relationships, it's common for the financial theory of the woman to be everything he makes is ours and everything I make is mine, rather than both partners contributing equally, which is what feminism claims to want to do. There's a book called Sexual Utopia and Power by Roger Devlin that sums this up perfectly. The modern woman wants all the benefits of a traditional marriage, but is unwilling to pay the cost. She wants a man to marry her without her having to marry the man. Some feminists are even demanding that there be quotas for women to be in executive positions, but they never talk about there being quotas for women in bricklaying. It's clear that modern feminism wants all the benefits of something without any of its sacrifice. Let's be very clear, that is not equality, that's privilege.
At this point, we probably have all seen the Battlefield stuff. I wanted to go back through a couple of the most interesting stuff, like reveals from the Battlefield 6 reveal event, I guess you could call it. And one of the things that stands out to me most was what they called portals, which I think has the potential, if well executed, which is the thing we have to say with all of this, has the potential to really blow people's minds and be very, very, very interesting. Loop 7654, by the way, 12 months subbed with Prime. Thank you, my friend. That's fantastic. Appreciate you. Let's see this.
In Battlefield, you and your squad will be battling it out across a world drowning in turmoil. A world filled with epic battles for you to partake in.
First things first, the destruction. I've played a lot of the finals, okay? I love the finals. It's a really good game. Actually made by former Battlefield devs as well. But one of my biggest frustrations in the finals is that it does have environmental destruction. You can blow stuff up and tear stuff down, but it feels like it's incredibly difficult to actually do it because you have to use a bunch of explosives. You have to use the charging move as the heavy class to break through multiple walls. And even then it doesn't collapse super cleanly. And it just feels like you have to spend an entire match trying to blow up a building to blow it up completely. You know, it's not like you just fire something and then the whole building collapses, which can be really cool. But in all of this footage that we've seen so far for Battlefield 6, you'll see that it's like one tank shot collapses an entire wing of the building, or one grenade goes off and a floor collapses underneath. And that could be fun to play in. It could also be really frustrating to play in. I'm not sure, but I like that it seems as though buildings are actually like fairly fragile and can be messed with. I like that.
All our spaces are built for the experience you want as a player. Whether that's intense, close quarters infantry combat, or large-scale warfare with tanks, choppers, and jets. So let's start with where you'll be battling it out.
Battlefield 6 will take you all over the globe, from Egypt and Gibraltar to Tajikistan and the streets of Brooklyn in the US. At launch, we'll have 9 maps, including a remake of the classic Operation Firestorm from Battlefield 3.
Gibraltar is built to be up close and personal. Smaller urban areas, designed to support close quarters combat. Egypt is all about infantry and land vehicles. While Tajikistan boasts scale, with epic settings that capture our all-out war experience. Then there's Brooklyn. Bringing the best of both scale and close quarters combat.
All of these maps are built to support any of our variety of modes with custom layouts that we call combat zones that have been rigorously play-tested and iterated to ensure a thrilling, authentic Battlefield experience. No matter where you're...
Dude, even like the smallest details, like look at that explosion again. When the helicopter explodes, the trees blow. Watch this tree. It blows away with the explosion. Like it leans to the other side. Like, I feel like in Call of Duty, half the time the doors don't open the right direction when you run through them. Like, what is... It's if this is real, it's crazy. The amount of attention to detail and complexity. The other thing is, like, just to appreciate some of the environmental destruction stuff. This is what's so insane. I can't even fathom how this even works. But like when the building collapses, bear in mind, they can't just simulate that entirely on the player's side. Like it's got to be at least to some degree, if not completely, simulated on the server so that it's the same for everybody in the match. And each one of these pieces of wall, the brick, maybe that can be handled on the system level, and then the big pieces, like the structural pieces, are handled on the server side. But all of this has to be tracked and simulated with physics while players are shooting and running around. And I don't know how big the lobbies are. Have they said how big the lobbies are? I'm not sure, but this whole thing is just absolutely a technical marvel. Like, it's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. You can't think about it too hard or it'll just melt your brain.
Any of our variety of modes with custom layouts that we call
64, I think. 32v34. Okay. 32v32, I feel like is good.
Authentic battlefield experience. No matter where you're playing.
Conquest. Breakthrough. Rush. Our all-out warfare trifecta of modes delivers moments you can't get in any other game. And with Battlefield 6, we're giving you more ways to play, all in...
See, one rocket, the entire thing collapses, dude. If that's real and that's what it's like in the final version, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, can you imagine?
Any other game. And with Battlefield 6, we're giving you more ways to play, all infused with Battlefield's DNA. Team deathmatch, squad deathmatch, domination, King of the Hill. In our newest addition to our all-out warfare experience called Escalation, where teams are pushed to a final climactic battle that we think our players will love. We've spent countless hours of playtesting these modes, both internally and alongside our Battlefield Labs participants, and working...
They've stressed, if you watch all of these things, they say like 15,000 times how much they've play tested it. I think in response to Battlefield 2042, where it felt like they didn't even test it, much less play test it. You know, like that thing was a miracle it even launched, but still.
To refine them and make them feel true to Battlefield's brand of immersive warfare. You can expect more maps, modes, and events as part of our post-launch seasonal content that we'll be telling you about closer to release.
And with the return of Portal, you can also build, share, and play your custom-created experiences.
This new, more powerful version of Portal will enable creators to use an updated toolset that features editing tools that will let you create even wilder experiences. That's not all. In Portal's newly redesigned Verified mode, modifiers will allow players to set up hardcore rule sets with one-shot kills, closed weapons, and so much more, all with full progression and XP gain.
Full progression and XP gain, I think, is a big deal, because that means that even people who are like, if you're looking for something hardcore, but you're like, but then I'm gonna fall behind in all these other elements because I'm not gonna be grinding XP, I'm not gonna be grinding up in the battle pass or whatever it is. You know, that it means you can actually do that. And this is the other piece of this too, and this is why the Portal thing is so interesting to me. We made fun of Mind's Eye for many reasons. Many reasons. They kind of made it easy, honestly, but one of the things about Mind's Eye that actually I think was forward-looking, because you got to remember, it was greenlit and they started working on it in 2018. Back in 2018, their vision was to make basically what is now pretty common, which is a Roblox / Fortnite platform where you can hop on and make your own maps and game modes and play with each other. And it's basically a living, breathing game that you get to craft and arrange. I think it's just where the industry is heading, honestly. Like, we've done a lot of discussion over industry movements and where things are headed in the live service space. And I really think in general, these big behemoth games that have a platform where you can make matches, make modes, play them for 5, 6, 7, 8 years at a time, that's where players are going, and that's where the younger generation is. Like, the people that are in high school right now and just getting out of high school, they grew up on the Fortnites, on Call of Duty HQ, on Roblox, and all of those platforms, and that's what they expect. They expect something like that. And if you can provide it in a Battlefield package where there's all sorts of different game modes and there's all sorts of different things like races you could do with helicopters or skydiving or whatever, I think that's where players will get really excited, and especially the younger generation will really connect with it. Losers, yeah. It's I think that's where it will really blow up. The developers also confirmed no Nicki Minaj or Godzilla for collabs. Yes, that's the other piece of this too, is that like a lot of this is very specifically targeting like I think old school Battlefield fans. And let's be real, I think Call of Duty, they have slowly and very intentionally, methodically conditioned their player base to get used to the cartoon skins and stuff. They have very carefully conditioned people to get used to it. And so now it's normal. Now you just see this in Call of Duty and it just is what it is. And the reason they do it is because they make ungodly amounts of money from it. I mean, billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. And so people are buying it and doing that. But here's the thing. The vast, and there's been studies done on this, the vast majority of in-game purchase spending comes from what are known as the whales. It's the people who spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on their accounts to grind out skins, to grind out cosmetics, buy battle passes, XP boosts, whatever. And those people are the ones where the money really comes from. The vast majority of players might buy a battle pass, maybe, but the vast majority of them, I think the study we looked at on stream was something like 80+% of people didn't spend any money. They would grind out the in-game currency they could get through play and buy the battle pass with that, but they weren't giving more money after they bought the game. Or if it was free to play, they weren't even spending any money, period. It's the whales where the money really comes from. And here's where I think the disconnect happens. The whales are the ones buying these skins. So they buy them, they flex it, because like, look, I just got this brand new skin. It's super cool. Oh crap, what's his name? Ricky Spanish. That's it. Yeah, Ricky Spanish. Ricky Spanish. Those people will buy these skins and rep them and love them and try to flex them. And it works and they make lots of money on it. But I think the other 80-90% of the fan base that is not buying it is like super turned off by it and really does not like seeing it. And it makes the game feel like a total joke, and it makes the game feel stupid and out of touch and disconnected from the fan base and all of that, because they're appealing to something that will get the whales to buy the skins instead of what makes sense for the game itself. I mean, this is Call of Duty now. I swear to God, if you posted this video 5 years ago when Warzone was popping off initially, I think people would think that it was faked. They're like, no way this is what they end up doing. No way. They went back to Verdansk to try and like reclaim the interest in the old days, but then they bring like literally Beavis and Butthead into the game. Like, what is happening? Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But I think now the player base is sufficiently exhausted with it, but there's been no real competition. There's been no real challenge from anybody else until now. And it seems like Battlefield 6 could actually provide a little bit of challenge finally, which is sorely needed. I mean, they really need to give Call of Duty a run for their money, because they've been able to just run rampant with no competition for 5-6 years or so. Like, and it's just been, I mean, we've seen what they've done with it. They go back, they try Verdansk again, because everything new they try, people hate, and the game gets overrun with cheaters. And then also there's no innovation, there's nothing fresh, there's nothing new. And the biggest idea that they have is to bring Ricky Spanish and Beavis and Butthead to the game. And that's about the extent of it. This though, actual like literal game changer, literal like transformative things, destruction in the environments, and another layer of player interactivity that will, I think, significantly change how this works. So I'm very excited. As always, you shouldn't like hype makes you stupid. You shouldn't pre-order, you shouldn't go crazy, you shouldn't do those things until there is sufficient evidence to justify that. If reviews come out and it's 10 out of 10s across the board, or if more preview events happen, or you get into play tests, which they're doing open betas and stuff, and you see the game and you play it yourself and you're like, oh, it actually is this good, then yeah, once the evidence is sufficient, you can buy the product, you know? But until then, maintain cautious optimism and don't get too hyped because it'll make you stupid. I hope they pull it off. I think everybody hopes they pull it off, but we've been here before. So we'll see. I really hope they pull this off though, because the FPS genre needs more competition. You need the Battlefield to the Call of Duty. You need like just some competition. Otherwise, you know, you see what happens to it. Just stagnates. Feels like we've gone nowhere with the like FPS genre in 5 years, and it's just ridiculous, because even with newer hardware and stuff, we haven't really taken advantage of it, it seems. Except now this actually seems to be like an actual next generation shooter, which I'm here for. Make FPS games great again. Yeah, they are actually trying to do it. My one fear with this, though, I will say this, my one fear with this is the amount of destruction on screen is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And my fear is that they are going to, it's either going to run like actual ass, or they're going to tone down the destruction to make it more like, I guess just more performant and steady. But I don't know. I'd be worried about performance, because I look at this and obviously some wizardry is going on, but I honestly don't know how this even runs. And obviously it does. There's people in play tests and stuff. There's leaked gameplay footage. So obviously it runs, but it is like as close to magic as anything we've seen in a while. It's really crazy what they're able to do. So it's looking crazy. He took my thing. Red flag, red flag.
16 times the detail.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are going to be covering That Gamer Girl. Yes, we are going to be covering Madam Savvy for the 6th or 7th time or something like that in a row, where Madam Savvy is calling out certain actions regarding Collective Shout, because Collective Shout apparently is trying to run victim mode. They are now also trying to apparently blame Elon Musk, of all people, for the hatred and the bigotry and the misogyny and whatever you want to call it that is coming their way. Not only that, Team YouTube has apparently doubled down on their age verification, and they're trying to gaslight people into telling people that this was always there. But what they don't tell you is that it was only there for people who were trying to make money on YouTube. As a regular viewer, it was not always there. So let's talk about what Madam Savvy has in terms of Collective Shout. And oh, by the way, the reason for today's video is because we are going to be celebrating a very small victory, right? It's a very, very, very small victory. It is not huge whatsoever, but it is important, because all forms of fighting back against censorship always starts somewhere, right? It's never going to be a massive win right out the gate. It's never going to be something that is going to be huge right out the gate. This is a small little win that we should talk about. So I'm going to give you a little tidbit. Apparently, she is quote tweeting itch.io. And the reason why she's quote tweeting them, because itch.io has officially announced that they will be re-indexing adult, not safe for work content. But the content they are re-indexing is the free adult, not safe for work content. They are not re-indexing the paid for content yet, because they are still doing ongoing discussions with payment processors and trying to find other companies to work with to bring back the paid adult content. But for right now, the free content is back up in place, and people can, can check that out. So in theory, we do have some of the adult content that was initially banned, which, to be honest with you, I feel like that's pretty smart, because what it goes to show is that the content is not illegal at all, which we already knew, right? The content is perfectly fine to have on the platform. It's the payment processors that are trying to block the content from existing because, well, they're assholes. I mean, there's really no other way to put it other than that. So Madam Savvy writes over here on X, and she says, congratulations to Collective Shout. You have effectively done absolutely nothing. The free games removed will be relisted because they do not violate any laws and will continue to be made available for all to goon and enjoy. Now, what I wonder is, I have to be curious what Collective Shout's response is going to be to this, right? Because their idea was to go after the payment processors, right? Their idea was to go after them because they wanted to stop supposedly kids from accessing the content. But the thing is, if the game is free, well, then the payment processor doesn't mean a goddamn thing, and they can't stop the content from being out there. So if this is really about the kids, if this is really about protecting people, then you would want to advocate for its removal, even if it's free, right? So I wonder if they are going to go out there and try to get these games banned and taken down, but how are you going to do that? If you can't go to your little payment processor daddies and complain like little dusty bitches, then I gotta imagine, what are you going to do? Because the platform right now, itch.io, is telling you to go fuck yourself, and they're going to put the free-to-play games back up regardless. What are you going to do? I can only wonder. But in any case, once there is an alternative to the current payment processor shenanigans, then the remaining games delisted will indeed return as well. All Collective Shout and Visa and MasterCard did was open the discussion for alternatives, which, by the way, that's kind of how Rumble was born. That's kind of how Kick was born, right? All of these platforms that are growing in popularity were born through the compliance of dominating platforms that wanted to enact censorship in their own manner. People are leaving Twitch in droves because of how Twitch has been acting, where they don't enact their TOS fairly amongst leftist streamers versus supposed right-wing streamers, or people who don't necessarily agree with leftist ideology. That's why Kick was born. Same thing with Rumble. Rumble exists for the same exact reason. People think that YouTube is a little bit too censorious in some natures, so Rumble ended up becoming a thing, and now people are utilizing that platform as well. Does that mean that the bigger platforms are not the biggest anymore? No, of course not. But everything starts somewhere. Rome wasn't built in a day. But in any case, creators will not be silent, she says. You cannot control the flow of creativity and expression, but keep screaming at companies who do breast cancer charity fundraising wrong. I am certain you are making so many fans by doing that. And obviously, everybody applauded in the comments. You have Foot Bandit over here, Cater, saying another example of why voicing your concerns is always valid. I agree with that. Hold on. You got Mike Sanguin says, perhaps it's finally time for cryptocurrency to shine. Matthias Witcher says, now we just need to get Steam to do the same. This is not over yet. I actually wonder if Steam is going to put up the free-to-play games that got banned. I don't really, because the thing is, they didn't take down most of the adult games. They only took down the egregious ones that the payment processors had an issue with. And, most of the adult games are still up there. So they didn't quite go the same way as itch.io. But I just wonder what's going to happen with the free stuff. But he says this is not over yet. It's not. Not until the paid for games on all platforms are back up as well. Agreed. Especially then, because people who have already paid for them should still be allowed to get updates and access their legal purchases. I agree. Neb says, activist ladies from Australia, take your L, while gamers and sane adults take their W. The Lost Workshop Studio says maybe they could focus on the real problems. Like, I don't know, the grooming gangs in the UK would be a good start. Yeah, but that would actually require work. You know what I mean? That would actually require them doing something aside from just the perception of doing something, right? So shout out to Madam Savvy for the absolute destruction. I know a lot of you in the comments right now, and by a lot of you, I mean a very small amount of you, are bitching and complaining about the fact that I'm covering Madam Savvy's absolute destruction of Collective Shout and Visa and MasterCard. But I can assure you there will be more videos. So if you're sick of that, maybe you should have stopped watching at the 5th video. But let's be real. You're here at the 6th one, right? Let's be real. You're going to be here at the 10th one too. So it's okay. But in any case, let's talk about Team YouTube, right? So Team YouTube, everybody knows from my last couple of videos, has enacted this thing with age verification, even though they're not doing it for the UK, right? They're doing it for the US as well. They're doing it literally everywhere, right? This is not just the UK. They're doing it in the United States of America. And they're trying to enact the age verification for pretty much any account that they deem is going to be underage. Now, the methods of which they said they were going to do this, I mean, we pretty much already know it's all going to be bullshit. Their AI is incapable, and I know it is. It's funny because even though the AI is not even working yet, I guarantee you it's going to be broken because everything YouTube puts out is always broken. Every AI that we've ever relied on when it comes to Team YouTube has always been broken. The amount of false flags that we have to deal with, the amount of false takedowns that we have to deal with as content creators, it's insane. So Team YouTube tries to gaslight people, right? They tried to gaslight Pirate Nation because Pirate Nation made a comment saying YouTube will start asking for ID in the United States on August 13th. If you look at the screenshot, extending protection to more teens. Starting August 13th, we'll extend teen protections to U.S. users we now estimate to be under 18. Protections include enabling digital well-being, blah, blah. We already covered this, right? But here's the amazing thing. Team YouTube responded and said, as you mentioned in your reply, this won't be required for all users. Well, I'm telling you right now, this is how it starts for it to be available to all users in the future. I will guarantee that this is going to happen for everybody within the next couple of years, if it even takes that long, right? This is how they start. They always start off small. They never want to go all the way too fast because if you do, well, people are going to push back, right? Look at the amount of pushback they're getting even by starting off small. Imagine if they did it to everybody regardless and made you upload your ID or credit card. This will obviously be a big thing, right? So there are two kinds of people on YouTube that have already uploaded their ID and or their credit card, depending on the situation, right? So premium users for YouTube, obviously they have to give a credit card in order to be a premium user on YouTube. So they already have credit card information for those people. ID, most content creators, if not all content creators, have to upload an ID in order to get paid by AdSense, right? So it's only for people who are making money on YouTube. And yet they're trying to gaslight you by saying we've always had the option for age verification via ID or credit card if someone is incorrectly estimated to be under 18. This is bullshit. That has never happened for standard accounts. That has never happened for people who are just regular viewers of YouTube. This has never happened ever. This is only happening now. And they're trying to gaslight you and tell you, oh, it's always been a thing. We've always been looking to see if people are under 18. Get the fuck out of here. That is complete and utter nonsense. Then they say this update is about using better technology to make these estimations. And I guarantee you this technology is going to get it wrong every single time. Speaking of getting it wrong, let's talk about Collective Shout. So Collective Shout has recently put out a statement a couple of days ago, essentially blaming Elon Musk for greater risk or something like that. I really don't know what's going on here. So let's read Collective Shout's statement and see what they have to say. Because, you know, like most angry, dusty women, they always have to blame a man for everything, even though pretty much everything is their fault throughout their entire life. So Collective Shout says Elon Musk's actions have put us at greater risk. Movement director MTR in the Australian Collective Shout founder Melinda Tankard Rice said her group will not be silenced by gamers' threats and abuse, which is hilarious, by the way, because your group is trying to silence gamers by threatening and abusing systems that are outside the legal law, which is unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Look at you, you absolute retard. It's amazing how you cannot see that you are literally doing the same exact thing that you claim other people are trying to do with you, which is crazy. All everybody is saying is stay away from video games, right? You guys clearly don't care about the art of the video game. You guys don't clearly care about playing video games. When's the last time any of you played a damn video game? Never, right? You're too busy fucking gooning into some dragon men in some smut book or something like that. You guys don't play video games. We know that. So then they say, predictably, misogynistic gamers, these words have no meanings, by the way, literally zero meanings. Misogynistic gamers have come out in full force in defense of their access to apparently R-word, incest, and child abuse games, which, by the way, again, this is fictional content, okay? The whole thing about child abuse games, can you showcase one video game that is on Steam or on itch.io that was specifically abusing children? Can you showcase any video game, or are you just doing the inflammatory headline thing where you're trying to make everything about the children? Think about the kids. Please think about the kids. They have unleashed a torrent of abuse and threats of violence against the women on our team. Don't you only have women? Isn't it like a female group? Do you have men in there as well? I mean, whatever. Anyway, and if you have men in there, why do you have men in there? I thought you guys hate men. What the hell? Across multiple online platforms and via email, which, by the way, they could fake all of this, okay? Their website, their submission form that they have on their website is easily fakeable. This has been proven through multiple different examples. You can easily fake all the supposed emails that they got from form submissions on their website. Just letting you guys know. They've been apparently threatening them to be R-worded and off them, send them porn and child abuse material. Who's saying that? Who is going to send? What the fuck? Like, do you guys really think that this is believable? Posted photos of our faces. Hey, like, you moron. You are literally damn near a government official. Like, your pictures are everywhere. Your face is everywhere. It's in the About Me section of your website. Why the fuck would you make it seem like it's so crazy? You posted a picture of your face is literally on the website, your own website. You idiots. Anyway, called us the C word and Meet encouraged us to off ourselves, threatened to make R-word porn using our images, and hunt down our addresses. Miss Tankard Rice said Mr. Musk was amplifying the worldwide online abuse by reposting the change.org petition against us. You see what they always do, right? So what they do is they don't ever want to confront the people that are actually supposedly doing the bad stuff. They only want to blame it on the person that could get them clout because they're more famous, right? So they'll take whatever's happening to them, supposedly, and they'll transfer the blame to someone famous like Elon Musk and say, oh, it's because of him. It's because of Elon Musk. He is the problem. We have to blame him, right? And the reason why they do that is because they're hoping that Elon Musk will retweet them or whatever and give them the clout that they're so desperately seeking, right? These women, the one thing they love, there's two things they love in the world, okay? What they love is, number one, dragon dick, apparently. And number two, they love to blame men for literally everything, right? That's what gets them off. They want to blame men for everything while also gooning to imaginary men with wings. But that's besides the point. So they are doing this for that reason. They love the attention. They crave the attention from more famous men, but they also supposedly hate those men. But anyway, Musk's actions have fueled threats and violence. No, they haven't. They literally haven't. All he did was put out the change.org or whatever petition. That's all he did. Harassment and digital abuse of all. Now there's digital abuse. Now it's not even actual real abuse. These women that are so desperate to be victims and take away victimhood from actual real victims that are women, they are now trying to make digital abuse a thing. So now they don't even have to actually be abused in real life. Now it's about digital abuse. That way they could be victims too. We all are victims down here, right? It's the weirdest thing. But anyway, digital abuse of all of our female team across all our platforms and force us to take extra measures for our own personal safety, she said. What are you going to do? Digital abuse? What are you gonna have? What are you gonna do? You gonna hire a digital fucking guard? Is that what you're gonna do? Is he gonna have a digital gun, a digital security guard? What are you doing here? Anyway, so the reason why we're talking about this is because, number one, I want to focus on the small win. Fuck these women, these dusty ass women. I want to talk about the small win, and the small win is itch.io. Okay, itch.io is the smaller company out of all these companies. Okay. Out of Valve and everything, itch.io is definitely smaller. They're even smaller than Epic Games, okay? And that's saying a lot considering Epic Games is getting felted every day, but that's besides the point. We're not going to talk about that. Itch.io is fighting back in ways that we need to see Steam and other companies fight back, okay? We need the bigger companies to fight back, the companies that actually have the means and the capabilities to fight back properly. That's what we need. And as we continue to talk about it, what's going to happen is these companies always go with the wind. Right now, Steam and itch.io and all these companies thought that nobody was going to make a big deal out of this. So they took it all down and they were listening to their payment processor daddies, which I understand to an extent. I get it. You got to run your business. You got to think about your company. I get it. But now that they realize that the wind is blowing in the opposite direction and people are fighting back tremendously over this, we had MasterCard Visa, and all of that trending on X with 150,000 plus posts. That is literally what happened the other day, right? So if something like that is trending, it is very clear that this is becoming a global thing. It is because, again, Visa and MasterCard is a global dominating force. So it's going to take a global response in order to fight back. And that is what's happening. So little by little, as the conversation keeps going, you have to keep talking about it. You have to ignore the comments of people who are telling you as a content creator, gee, why do you keep talking about this? This is all you're talking about. Stop the fucking gaslight, okay? You guys just got here. Sit the fuck down. You clearly are too weak to do anything. Just get out of the way at this point, because you are clearly just trying to, and I don't know if you're advocating for censorship. I don't know if you're just passing off you're projecting your weakness onto others. I really don't know what the situation is really with that. All I know is just get the fuck out the way. That's really it. Keep talking about it. Keep putting out the information out there. And every time something new comes up, bring it up. Talk about it. Put it out there. Don't be afraid to talk about it. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching the content related to the censorship news. Obviously, go consider watching the rest of my other content talking about the gaming industry and whatnot. And if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe, and make sure to show some support to itch.io over on X here. I'll link this thread where they announced the developer updates and putting back up the free not safe for work games. I'm going to link it in the description box below so that you guys have it and you can go show them some support, because they need to know that people are behind them, even if it's in the most minuscule way. They need to know about it. So thank you again for watching the video. Consider hitting that subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Got another disgusting update for you here today. It has just been reported that Maxwell is being moved to a minimum security prison in Texas with no explanation for why, and there are no answers for any of the questions people have about this, but the timing is very suspicious considering she just started cooperating with the DOJ behind closed doors, which again there is no transparency with in regards to anything that was talked about there. Now she's mysteriously just being pushed into a very, very minimum security prison, which is it's a camp, by the way. It's a minimum security prison camp where it is usually reserved for non-violent, like white-collar criminals, shit like fraud. And now she's enjoying a cozy stay there. Now, her previous spot was also like on the lower end of prisons. It wasn't exactly like Azkaban they had her held up in, but there were still serious offenders in there, and it wasn't nearly as lax as the place she has just been moved to in Texas, seemingly out of nowhere.
The move comes a week after Maxwell met in private with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee. The details of that meeting have not been made public. It also comes after the family of one of Maxwell's alleged victims, Virginia Giuffre, spoke to our own Hallie Jackson, urging the president not to pardon Maxwell.
Isn't that just fucking preposterous that the family of one of the victims has to come forward and beg the president to not pardon a convicted child sex trafficker who was a co-conspirator to the biggest pedophile and sex trafficker in this country's history, because there's a very real possibility that it's something he's considered because he keeps fucking teasing it, him and his administration?
The big question here is, do we know why Maxwell was moved?
It is the big question, Zinkley, and the United States Department of Justice spokespeople are refusing to provide any answer or comment this afternoon. We have called them, we have texted them, we have emailed them.
They're staying extremely tight-lipped around the reasoning with this sudden move. It's very suspicious. I think anybody that's activating neurons should be able to tell you that something smells very fishy here. Instead of releasing the Epstein files, which it seems like is never going to happen here, which has gone through the craziest song and dance. It's been like 10 seasons worth of plot twists in regards to that from this administration. First, they're going to release them day one when Trump's in office. Next, they're coming. Next, they're on Pam Bondi's desk. Next, turns out it was a figment of everyone's imagination. It was a made-up boogeyman. Everyone just fucking, you know, ayahuasca tripped and envisioned these files, but they were never actually real. No such thing as the Epstein files. Then, no, the Epstein files are real, but they're a Democrat hoax. Next, the files are compromised, so instead we're going to Maxwell directly to get all the names and dangling a pardon in front of her face. Now, all of this happening behind closed doors, by the way, this conversation with Maxwell, whom I imagine will be squealing and singing any names that the administration wants her to, omitting the ones they don't want her to say, and saying whatever names they'd like to put in her mouth. And now, all of a sudden, she's just being transferred to a very minimum security prison that sounds almost like a summer camp that also has another celebrity resident there. Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos. You remember that huge scam? This is one of those like cozy, bougie prisons where like the rich elite get privileged to go to
a facility that, frankly, and you can look at it on Google Earth, the fence line is the type of fence that you would put around a school. In many places, there's no razor wire. There's not a fence that would be difficult to climb. The gates of it look more like the gates of a country club than they do of a federal prison. So this is one of the camps that people like to go to. It's all women's. We do have a response from several of the victims saying today President Trump has sent a clear message today. Pedophiles deserve preferential treatment and their victims do not matter. That's coming from Annie Farmer, Maria Farmer, and the family of Virginia Roberts Giuffre.
Yeah, it really does seem that way, huh? It's very weird, so peculiar how Trump is so buddy-buddy and cozy with so many pedophiles, and even just last night proudly presented and brought aboard a registered sex offender to be part of the sports commission that will be overseeing things like the youth presidential fitness test, which is being brought back.
You want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him.
If you know anything about football, you probably recognized who that was immediately. That's Lawrence Taylor. He is a Hall of Famer, probably still to date the hardest tackler in NFL history. But Lawrence Taylor is a registered sex offender. In 2011, he pled guilty to sexual misconduct with a 16-year-old who was trafficked, by the way, and has since been on the sex offenders registry. He was registered as a level 1 offender, and some people are actually using this as a defense of him. Like, it's not that big of a deal. He's just a level 1 sex offender, which is crazy, but that's the times we're living in right now with the absolute lunatics running wild outside of fucking Arkham Asylum. They're now just in society here with us. Anyway, though, the facts are he pled guilty to 1 count of soliciting a prostitute and a 2nd count of sexual misconduct and having sex with a woman without consent since the victim was 16. Under oath, he admitted to having sex with a 16-year-old, but claimed that she had told him she was 19, so he believed she was of the age of consent. Now, I don't know about all you lovely people out there. I'm not trying to put farts in your butthole here, but I'm gonna go ahead and maybe be a little brave here. This might be, you know, just a spicy hot take, but I'm gonna let it rip anyway. I don't think a registered sex offender who has openly admitted to having sex with a sex-trafficked individual he thought was of the age of consent but was actually a child is really the best fit for the Presidential Sporting Commission here that will be overseeing activities for children. Now, maybe it's just me with those crazy thoughts, though. Maybe that's the problem, actually. I'm not open-minded enough to see why this is actually such a galaxy brain good idea. Because there's a lot of people defending it. Like, how's Trump supposed to know? This was 14 years ago. It's ancient history. What's the big deal? And then people just excusing it like, oh, it happened so long ago and Trump is such a busy man. There's no way you could have possibly known about this history with Lawrence Taylor. Like, what the fuck, man? It's a sex offenders registry. It's public knowledge. All of Lawrence Taylor's neighbors know it. How could the White House not know it before hiring him to bring him on board for this sporting commission? Do they not do any homework on the people they hire? Is there no vetting process whatsoever? They just hire anybody randomly? I mean, actually, that's probably exactly how it goes. Because even Lawrence Taylor, when Trump, like, babies him up there, Trump talks to him like he's talking to, like, an actual 4-year-old, by the way, like, oh, do you want to come say something? Come on. And then, like, rubs his back. Come on, say something. Which is super weird in and of itself, by the way. But when Lawrence Taylor does talk, he's like, don't really know why I'm here. Don't really know what we're supposed to be doing. But I'm happy to be here. So he doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing there. Why is he hired? Like, that is like the perfect encapsulation of this whole administration. What he said, don't really know why I'm here and I don't know what I'm doing. That is exactly what the fuck is happening right now. Everything from the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files and all of the circus shit that has followed. It is unbelievable. And it somehow just keeps getting worse. Just stew on this. Really just fucking sit and spin on this preposterous shit that we are seeing here. It is not normal. It is not okay. It actually seems like this administration is trying to normalize pedophilia. It literally does seem that way. He just added a sex offender to the President's Council of Sports Nutrition and Fitness, which will give initiatives to children. What is happening? How can that possibly not be something that everybody comes out and says, whoa, this is fucked up? There is no defense of that. There are hundreds of other NFL legends that you could have put on this council if you really wanted to. Like, that aren't sex offenders and shit. It's crazy. It's like he goes out of his way to find pedophiles and be close with them and give them positions of power. It does feel like he gives preferential treatment to pedophiles. He's moving Maxwell to a cozier, more low-security prison in Texas for some reason that's not being disclosed. He's got Lawrence Taylor now as part of this president council. It's absolutely unhinged. I had to talk about it. Sorry, I've been yapping quite a bit about it now, but it is incomprehensible. Like, to a sane society, this would be unforgivable. But it's just still unfolding in front of everyone's faces, and some people are just so brainwashed and lost that they accept it and just move on like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Like, all of the evil people that were on the Epstein client list are still getting away with it with no punishment, and the only person who has faced any punishment at all for being a co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, is maybe going to be receiving a pardon. What the fuck? Anyway, I'll stop blabbering for now. That's really about it. See ya.
Support lines are overwhelmed, and customers are getting hung up on as they try to figure out what's going on after tens of thousands of games have been removed from itch.io and Steam. These gamers are just trying to get answers, but nobody from Visa seems to have a clear explanation. In the meantime, MasterCard has released an official statement for this issue. Both Steam and itch.io are facing a massive wave of censorship. On itch.io, the platform completely de-indexed all adult content from search and browse pages. This was a drastic move, which itch.io confirmed they had to make to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure. But this isn't just an itch.io problem. Steam has also been quietly delisting games even after the first initial ones. More games are getting removed from Steam, even some with very little adult content. The reason for all of this is intense pressure from payment networks like Visa and MasterCard, or even other ones like PayPal and Stripe. Although some want to just blame Steam for removing these games, they essentially had no choice. In a post Collective Shout made trying to celebrate, as they really only care about censoring as many things as possible, they specifically mentioned how they tried to get Steam to listen to them for months, but obviously Valve never listened. So they had to take it a step further and complain to payment processors instead, which is where these companies like Visa and MasterCard were able to abuse their power and force games to get removed. Now, itch.io is taking a two-part approach to this problem. The first is a long-term plan, finding new payment partners who are more accepting of a wider range of content. This is a crucial step for the platform to become less dependent on the rules of a few powerful companies. While this doesn't fix the underlying issue of these payment processors controlling what gets sold, it gives itch.io a fighting chance to bring back the removed content and continue supporting adult games. itch.io has begun relisting some free adult games. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. Since these games don't require a payment processor, their return proves that the issue isn't with itch.io or Steam's rules, but with the financial companies themselves. Like we talked about in our last video, gamers aren't having any of it and are now using the same tactics Collective Shout used to express their complaints to payment processors like Visa and MasterCard. I am actively seeing more reports of users calling these companies to complain, and this organized effort is having a visible effect on their customer service. Support staff are now clearly overwhelmed. I have seen a bunch of reports and stories from people who have said they called Visa and then would just get hung up on, which I 100% believe because every time I've called Visa, I would get a similar response. It would start off great, but as soon as the customer service agent on the other end realized what I was talking about, whether it was because I mentioned Steam or video games or censorship, they would instantly speak over me, tell me to send an email, and then just hang up. Even if I didn't stop talking, they would just sigh and repeat the same response over and over. Another time, the Visa rep just reread the Visa email we talked about in our previous video before hanging up like that was supposed to fix the issue. Every call had nearly the exact same response from Visa saying to email so they can send you this copy-paste response, and then they would just hang up. With every call having a similar response, it seems extremely likely that the Visa support staff was briefed on the situation and what to say, or in this case, say pretty much nothing at all and then just hang up. It seems pretty clear that Visa is now getting overwhelmed by the backlash, although some will say don't annoy these innocent employees who have no say in the matter. Well, this is the exact strategy Collective Shout used, and it worked. So as Visa seems to be getting tired over the phone, it doesn't seem like gamers are stopping anytime soon. The goal is to make Visa realize that if they want to listen to these activist groups like Collective Shout, the backlash will be much larger. Now, as I'm making this video, even MasterCard has responded to the situation. Previously, we had Visa, and now is MasterCard, saying clarifying recent headlines on gaming content. MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. So very similar to Visa, they're pretty much saying that they allow all lawful purchases and really only go after illegal adult content. But within just hours of this being posted, it has quickly been community noted, saying both Steam and itch have stated their removal of adult content came from pressure by payment processors, including MasterCard. Furthermore, MasterCard and other payment processors have a documented history of refusing service to Japanese retailers over legal adult content. So although both Visa and MasterCard are trying to deny it, their history speaks for itself. Although these obviously aren't the responses we want, I think this is a pretty good sign because it shows we have these payment processor companies' attention. And if we potentially keep up the pressure, they will just have to listen. Stripe, which is one of the main payment processors used on itch.io, has directly addressed the situation. They confirmed that they will not be able to support adult content that fits the following definition: content designed for sexual gratification. Stripe also wanted to pass this message along to gamers. Stripe is currently unable to support sexually explicit content due to restrictions placed on them by their banking partners, despite card networks generally supporting adult content with the appropriate registrations. Stripe has indicated that they hope to be able to support adult content in the future, which is a bit interesting because they say they want to support adult content in the future, but due to their banking partners, they can't. This raises the next question: who are these banking partners? When Stripe explains why they can't work with certain businesses, they point directly to the strict rules and regulations of payment networks like Visa and MasterCard. This proves that even though Stripe in this situation is the direct processor, they are still under the control of these larger networks like Visa and MasterCard. If you remember this elevated risk line from Visa's email, well, it's back. When Stripe explains businesses that pose a brand risk, pornography is included. Financial institutions and payment networks care about the brand and reputational risk that associated businesses pose. There are a set of businesses that our financial partners do not want to be associated with, even if there is a market demand for them. Stripe doesn't independently reject businesses based on brand risk. We have many unpopular businesses and causes on Stripe, but we are at times obliged to enforce the restrictions of our partners. This confirms what we've seen before. Visa and MasterCard have the power to force companies to follow their rules. They don't necessarily have to be a direct payment processor on a platform like itch.io, they just have to be somewhere in the payment chain to have complete control. Stripe even further explains this when they tried to work with a startup, but were forced to stop after their financial partners did not agree. So although Visa claims they don't moderate content, they simply just force any company they are working with to follow their rules, or they won't work with them. This shows a very dangerous power dynamic, where a few powerful financial companies can dictate what is and isn't acceptable, even when the content is perfectly legal. But as Itch has confirmed, they are currently in talks with new payment processors, which will hopefully be a step in the right direction. I have reached out to Valve for a statement on if they will be looking for new payment processors or going to be re-adding crypto as an option. So if I hear back, I will for sure give you an update. Of course, these aren't solutions that will fix the underlying problem, as it seems like we will need the government to get involved, but it will at least give control back to these platforms so they don't have to follow the rules of these payment processors. The outcome of this situation will have a long-lasting impact on gamers and developers everywhere. Will platforms like Steam find a stable solution, or will this be a permanent shift in what kind of content is allowed online?
So I've been reading comments and I've seen that some people don't want the intros, and I hear that. So in this video, we're gonna skip the intro, okay? No preamble, no, just tech news, like right away. Many ChatGPT users were shocked to discover this week that many of their chats were being indexed by Google and were thus searchable by anyone who knows how to use Google, though the numbers for that class of user are dwindling as Google transitions from a search engine into an idiot librarian who's constantly seeing things. Now, I said many ChatGPT users and not all, because the cause of these leaks is this checkbox in the share dialog asking if you want to make this chat discoverable, which, quote, allows it to be shown in web searches. How could this happen? I can see how some people quickly looking to share their chat may have thought they had to check that box in order to make it shareable while not understanding what they were doing, and apparently OpenAI feels the same because their InfoSec chief announced they have since removed that option. It's not clear why it was ever an option, really, other than to be a point of embarrassment for OpenAI after they made such a fuss about being forced to retain users' chats by the judge in the New York Times copyright case. User privacy is crucial and must be protected. Yes, we have a confusing button that will share your private chat with the entire internet. What's the problem? Google's attempt to appeal its big loss to Epic Games in 2023 has failed, with a ruling from the Ninth Court of Appeals upholding the result of the original lawsuit over Google's anti-competitive Android policies. In a statement, Google said, "This decision will significantly harm user safety, limit choice, and undermine the innovation that has always, it's been really good and now it's gonna be really bad." Whatever, Google, no one's listening. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney was quick to proclaim that the Epic Games Store will be listed on the Play Store, in addition to being available directly from Eric's website. Welcome to ericsgamestore.com. It's unclear when Google will be required to host competing app stores on its store. That might be next year, but Google is required to enact a list of other changes very soon. Like they have to stop inhibiting developers from using non-Google payment methods or linking users to their site, and they have to do that within 14 days. Oh, you mean a fortnight? Oh, Google asked for another week and the judge gave it to them. Oh, is there a word for 3 weeks? Trihebdomal, maybe? Sucks. See, Google needs more time because it's so busy doing other things, like preparing to break all the goo.gl URL shortener links that aren't being actively used. Originally, Google was just gonna gank all of them in August, but now it's responding to feedback from people wondering how Google's gonna try and control the whole internet, but shirk its responsibility to keep the links working. Did these people go to the bathroom during the Uncle Ben part of Spider-Man or something? Hey, if you're worried that Google will break its Authenticator app, Proton just launched one. Were we talking about Fortnite a second ago? Well, now we're talking about our sponsor, Delete Me, your personal data deletion specialist, which is a useful thing to have since data brokers already have your info, unless you've avoided using the internet for the past couple decades and this is the first video you've watched since 2004. I am honored. And also, I'm so sorry. This is how the internet is now. But I'm not sorry that Delete Me has family plans now with easy to use, regularly scheduled personal data deletion requests and detailed reports for the whole squad. Head on over to the video description and check out Delete Me today. Quick Bits doing the Quick Bits now. I think that was nice and short. Didn't want to drag that out. It's literally just introducing the next few like it doesn't have to be a big thing that we. The age check apocalypse continues to rage across the UK and parts of the broader internet, and all these submitting selfies and credit cards and government IDs is concerning, according to privacy experts, and many others who couldn't afford privacy experts' school. The UK's Online Safety Act is also having knock-on effects, with the BBC reporting that Twitter and Reddit are restricting under 18 accounts from accessing news-related but sensitive content about current events like wars. The usage of VPNs to get around age checks has skyrocketed, leading some regulators to wonder whether a ban on VPNs is needed. And once people figure out how to get around that, we just might have to ban the VPN ban bypass VPN. If they get around that, though, let them through, they earned it. Nintendo has cited market conditions as the reason they'll be hiking the price of Switch 1 consoles and also Alarmo. Because if you bought a $100 alarm clock, you can do another $10. Deal with it. Gaming news account Wario64 tweeted the new prices after they showed up on Target's website, with an increase of $30 for the Switch Lite, $40 for the vanilla Switch, and $50 for the Switch OLED. Although the prices reverted shortly afterwards, so things might look differently come August 3rd when the price changes go into effect. Nintendo's announcement said price adjustments for the Switch 2 aren't happening right now, but may be necessary in the future to prevent the collapse of the entire global financial system. It's just necessary. Man, Amazon's got some great ideas in the pipe. CEO Andy Jassy told investors on Thursday there will be opportunities to have Alexa advertise products to users as they talk to her, which sounds like the worst. Although it also reminds me of the Truman Show when his wife is like holding up Coco from the slopes of Mount Nicaragua and he's like, who are you talking to? And that's a great movie. I mean, maybe this will all be fine. Amazon also funded Showrunner, a streaming service that lets you use AI to make your own TV shows, which sounds like slop no one will want to watch, and funnily enough, the CEO agrees. Intel has updated its XeSS tech package with support for frame generation and low latency for older non-Intel GPUs, specifically NVIDIA's RTX 3000 series and AMD's RX 6000 series. Your mileage may vary, and you might be better off without it, but it's nice to know that, like a good State Farm, this thing is there. TikTok is launching a new app called TikTok Pro in Germany, Portugal, and soon Spain. It's basically TikTok without live streams, shopping features, or ads. But it will also have the Sunshine program, which will incentivize users to engage with charities. That will generate a currency called Virtual Sunshine, which will then be converted into donations to those charities sent from TikTok. It sounds like a good thing, but it's also very unusual, leading some to wonder whether this is a move by TikTok to appease regulators who've criticized the platform's more toxic elements. I mean, I don't know, it kind of gives the donating to charities thing a panicked vibe. Ah, yes, love this video. Oh, those children need our help. Let's, And Valve CEO Gabe Newell is so rich, he didn't just buy a yacht. He bought a whole yacht company. Newell has acquired Ocean Co., one of the world's top super yacht companies. But if you're worried he was gonna come in there and screw up the company's culture, don't be. Their press release says Gabe just wants Ocean Co. to push harder on what it already does best, putting people first. Not people in general, people who can afford to spend a small nation's GDP on a monstrosity named the Black Pearl. Who's gonna take care of them, Gabe will. Thank goodness. And thank goodness you watched this whole episode, because guess what? Monday is a holiday for us, so there won't be a new Tech Linked until Wednesday. But tell you what, I've made over 1,100 of these. You know, give one of those a view. John, Hank, I'll see you on Wednesday.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time.
We know Donald Trump loves tariffs. He even called them the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see.
His slapping of them on imports to the US 4 months ago, though, didn't leave the stock markets looking too pretty. Financial panic took hold, and so the tariffs were put on hold. Trump playing the percentages, perhaps, allowing more time to strike trade deals with countries. That deadline has now passed. So, flanked by an NFL player and a wrestler, Trump announced he's flipping global trade on its head once again, with new tariff rates for more than 90 countries, including Canada, just days after they announced plans to recognise a Palestinian state, something Trump says will make a potential agreement between the neighbours very hard.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said he's disappointed by Trump's action, writing on social media,
"The Canadian government is laser focused on what we can control, building Canada strong. Canadians will be our own best customer, creating more well-paying careers at home as we strengthen and diversify our trading partnerships throughout the world."
Canada has seen its rates jump by 10%, up from 25% to 35%, although most Canadian goods are exempt under a previous agreement. Some of the world's poorest and most war-torn countries face extremely high tariffs, including Syria at 41%. Laos and Myanmar have been hit by rates of 40%. Thailand secured a last-minute deal that's much lower than the 36% level announced on April's Liberation Day. Now they'll face 19% instead. While in Europe, Switzerland has been hit with a 39% levy, more than double the rate of its EU neighbours.
Yeah, thank you. We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world.
A 15% ceiling on most EU exports to the US was agreed by the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at Trump's golf course in Scotland last weekend.
President Trump, we love you!
He's fallen well below par on his promise of signing 90 deals in 90 days. The reality, only around a dozen have been reached.
And you've done a fantastic job
with the UK the first to sign a deal with the US during Trump's second term. That 10% agreement was made in May. Higher tariffs for Mexico have been paused for another 90 days, while China isn't included in today's announcement.
Thank you.
These new tariffs don't take effect immediately. They go live on the 7th of August. A week is a long time, especially in Trumpland.
We're joined now by Ben May, who is a global economist at Oxford Economics. Ben, thanks very much for joining us. Can you tell us what sort of reaction are we seeing already from this announcement?
Well, there has been a little bit of a fallback in equity markets across the world in response to these tariffs. That's perhaps no surprise, but it's worth noting, that's a fall after a sustained rise from those big falls seen since April. So, in the grand scheme of things, equity markets are still riding quite high compared to where they were back in April.
So how would you summarise then the difference now compared to the turmoil, frankly, that we saw in April?
Well, I think probably one of the elements is that there was perhaps a lot more of a shock element to that announcement at that time, both in terms of the breadth of those tariff increases and also the scale for many of those economies. Obviously, what's been going on more recently has been sort of widely flagged. There's been perhaps a bit of speculation that, some of these deals might be watered down or delayed, and obviously some deals have been struck that have allowed those tariffs to come back. So I think it's much less of a shock.
Was there anything in there in terms of the rates that particularly surprised you?
Well, I think by and large these were broadly flagged. So in that sense, I'm not sure there are any massive surprises in terms of what's announced today. Certainly nothing that's sort of a game changer from a broader global perspective.
They obviously haven't gone live yet. We've got until the 7th of August, and you know a lot can happen, can't it, in a week, particularly the way Trump's been going. Do you think that's going to have an effect on how other countries interact with the US now?
It's possible. I mean, clearly what we now know is there's a sort of template via which you can probably reach a broad agreement with the US. We've seen quite a few economies do that. So it's plausible that this is the sort of catalyst for a few more economies to agree those deals. And of course, even if deals aren't hatched by August the 7th and tariffs go up, there's also clearly that possibility that over the coming weeks or even months, some sort of deal that can be hatched with the US that brings that headline tariff rate down.
Do you think other countries are following the UK's lead in striking a deal with the US?
Well, I think what we're sort of starting to see is a sort of slightly more pragmatic approach. We've seen that with a few things in the sense that economies are perhaps focusing less on the sort of retaliation aspect and sort of being perhaps a bit more pragmatic and going let's reach a deal. Obviously the UK did that, but you know the EU have done that, you know, and various other economies now. So I think that's probably seen very much as the approach to take for now, at least.
Trump's tariff tactics seem to have got less aggressive. Has his stance softened?
Really, what we've seen in a matter of weeks and months is, you know, tariff rates going up to the kind of levels that we've not seen since, you know, something like the 1930s. So I wouldn't necessarily want to underplay the shift that we've seen, even if perhaps the average effective tariff rate that people thought was possible back immediately after Liberation Day hasn't quite been reached. I'm not sure that's necessarily something to get too celebratory around. It's still very high.
And what sort of effect is all of this likely to have on inflation then?
Well, in the US, it is likely to generate higher inflationary pressures. Clearly, there may be an element where some firms, either from abroad or within the US, absorb some of those tariff costs, but some is likely to be passed on. And there's already starting to be a little bit of evidence that's coming through. That's likely to continue over the coming months. And obviously, as tariff rates go up on various economies and products, that will only intensify.
Okay, Ben May, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. No problem at all.
By convention, the location of nuclear submarines is one of the closest guarded secrets of any nuclear power.
Last man down, hatches are shut.
It makes President Trump's social media post tonight confirming the deployment of 2 nuclear vessels towards Russia all the more unusual. On Truth Social, he said, "I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences." He was referring to the escalating argument between him and the former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. The deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council said earlier this week, each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Donald Trump has become increasingly angered with Russia's continued attacks on Ukraine and its refusal to engage in peace talks. Just last night, Russia launched 8 cruise missiles at Kyiv. This week, that frustration culminated in a deadline, after which punitive new sanctions will be imposed.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting.
Medvedev is not a serious policy player.
Those who know both characters in this spat are urging caution, but say Trump's sending a strong signal to the Russians.
This is a message from President Trump that, you know, this is not to be, as you say, this is not to be played with. And so I think the chances of unintended consequences are low. The whole idea is to put pressure on Putin to stop the war, to negotiate a ceasefire with the Ukrainians. And economics is one way to do that. Providing weapons to the Ukrainians is another way.
Off the deck, on depth 160 feet.
There is, of course, a more cynical interpretation. This nuclear saber rattling is less about Russia and more about distracting from President Trump's own domestic problems, which are considerable.
I believe the numbers were phony, just like they were before the election, and there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her. Right. And you know what? I did the right thing.
This is Banana Republic stuff. I don't know how else to say it, all right? I'm sorry I'm recording offline. I'm about to fly to Canada, and I'm not even sure they're gonna let me back in the country after what I'm done saying. Okay, listen, you might have noticed if you're watching the markets today that they're a bit jittery, a bit down, quite down, especially the Dow. The reason they're down is two parts. Number one is a fresh round of tariffs that Trump announced, 50% on Brazil and a bunch of other ones that are supposed to come out in 6 days on August 7th. And that could be it, but the market has sort of learned not to take him too seriously on this stuff and on the dates and deadlines he sets. The other thing that happened today was that we got a horrendous jobs report. from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS.
This report that we just got, when you look at the July numbers and the revisions, he says this is the worst major economic report we've gotten since the end of the pandemic era.
A horrendous job report. Let me just go through it. They expected something like 112,000 new jobs. What they got was 73,000. But this is before the downward revisions, because they also downward revised the past 2 months. May and June were 144,000 new jobs when they announced it in May, 147,000 new jobs when they announced it in June. However, those were revised down to 19,000 and 14,000. They cut 250 plus thousand jobs out that turns out weren't real. And this has been a consistent pattern. Consistently, since basically 22, the BLS has consistently over-announced jobs and then revised it down. And the downward revisions are getting big. So this implies, based on this pattern, that even this terrible, anemic 73,000 number from this month is probably going to get revised down too. These are really bad jobs numbers, especially if you drill into where the jobs growth is coming from. Where are these few jobs even getting hired in? Turns out they're in healthcare and social assistance employment. Our entire country, the only job growth is happening to care for the old and sick. As we get older and sicker as a nation, there is some job growth in taking care of that. But everything else, every other private sector employment is down. So outside of government jobs and healthcare jobs, we're not seeing any growth in this economy. And I promise you, some of you are feeling this if you're looking for a job right now. If you're talking to regular people looking for a job, you're feeling this. But that's not the only thing, okay? Yes, this was a bad jobs report. Yes, this confirms that we're seeing some real shakiness in the labor market. Even as unemployment remains relatively low, it's ticking up. And again, I've talked about this before, this number is underreported because of the number of people not filing for unemployment due to gig work. Uber is preventing this number from flying, but it is a lot higher for real well-paying jobs than you'd expect, okay? But all that aside, a while back, I talked about China, and I made fun of the fact that China had rising youth unemployment. The number was going up, and so they stopped publishing the number. And then a few months later, they came back with a new formula, and it was way lower. And I made fun of that because it's obvious what they're doing. The number made them look bad, so they stopped publishing it, and they changed it. And I thought, well, that's not gonna happen here, right? Well, wrong. Because after this terrible jobs number came out today, immediately our president, Donald J. Trump, salute the GOAT, gets on Truth Social and fires her. Fires the leader of the BLS, the commissioner. He shot the messenger. She put out a number that probably is higher than it should be, and he fired her for this rigged number that is trying to make him look bad. This is Banana Republic end of cycle shit. Yeah, it's absurd, man. It's crazy. We can't even trust the data. He's gonna put in a puppet that's gonna say we have 10 million new jobs in August. But let's be real. I think we can all tell what direction this is headed in. The unemployment rate is ticking up. Good jobs ticking down. We're a nation of the caring for the old and sick. Now, there's one area I do want to talk about. But first, let me continue a little bit. This is our current employment statistics. Actually, I'm sorry, this is an older graph, but it compares the number that comes out from the BLS, even the revised number, and then a separate methodology from the quarterly census of employment and wages. Now, this is important because this is very delayed. It takes a year plus to publish, but is way more accurate. This is the one like you could get the most accurate depiction from. And if you look at this, it is trending terribly. So the idea is, based on this, which is a leading indicator, a lagging indicator, takes a while to catch up to the modern data, but that we're headed in a really, really bad direction on employment and wages. And that once the data catches up to that, we'll see it for what it is. And that's where we find ourselves. So what is working in this economy outside of being a toady for Trump that he hires? Okay? Like I mentioned healthcare, like I mentioned social care, like I mentioned some government jobs. Outside of that, not only no growth, but negative growth, layoffs. Or the one other thing keeping this entire market up is big tech earnings, okay? Zuckerberg and his smart glasses. Meta just put out the revenue, their earnings report, and it was stellar. They beat on top and bottom line. Both revenue and profit were up, and they did great. The stock popped 10%, okay? If you are part of a elite class of AI researchers, you're getting paid absurd amount of money. And those companies are doing very well. If you have stock in the few big tech companies. Outside of that, nobody is seeing a good time in this economy. If you're not caring for old sick people or working as an AI researcher, you are seeing your material earnings decrease and you are seeing a more difficult time finding jobs. That's just the reality of it. I don't care how they spin the numbers, and I don't care who Trump hires to put in this BLS position. Just drop the L. It's going to be BS. Okay? Yes, it's going good for Zuck. Yes, it's going good for NVIDIA. Jensen Huang signing titties. Microsoft had a good earnings beat. Most of the big seven, outside of Tesla, is doing quite well, okay? But that is not the sign of a healthy economy. By the way, worth mentioning that even among these tech earnings, you know, Zuckerberg might come out and say people without AI glasses will be at a disadvantage in the future, which is an easy thing for someone to say who's selling AI glasses. But the actual AI or Reality Labs part of the company is still losing money. All we are seeing from these earnings is that Microsoft and Apple and Google and Meta are dominant companies, and their main business is doing well. And there's no real sign, even in these earnings, I listened to all the earnings calls, that they can actually tie that back to AI. Like, Microsoft is making more money, but they forced Copilot into all their Office subscriptions. Does that mean AI caused them to be able to raise prices? I think they just raised prices and no one can go anywhere. Let's be real. The only person making real money is NVIDIA, who's buying, who's getting chips bought from all these people. Anyway, enough said. Amazon, worth mentioning, they were the only ones to be a little more honest in their earnings, and they dropped. They basically said, yeah, we're growing. They had a pretty decent earnings, but we haven't really found a way to make AI profitable yet, and their stock didn't do that well. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, they're facing a lot of competition from cloud. So I just want you guys to know that we find ourselves in a really weird day. And I wish I was able to live to talk about it more, but that's what's going on. Donald Trump is openly shooting the messenger. Even, my God, dude, even one of his biggest defenders, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, went on CNN. Look, Kevin O'Leary.
We had a bad print on jobs. I did not agree on whacking the commissioner. I don't like that. Whacking statisticians makes no sense whatsoever. You don't shoot the messenger. They used to do that in ancient Rome. Bad news, they kill the guy off the horse. You don't need to do that now. It doesn't matter. This is.
It feels like a Caligula Emperor thing. A statistician gives you a, honestly, probably extra good print. It's probably worse than they're saying, but it's too bad for you, so you fire them on the spot to try and get someone else in. It's ridiculous, dude. And the pressure on Jerome Powell only continues to rise. He did another massive rant calling him too late, Powell. We have to lower the rates. He's going to do whatever it takes to get him out of office. We're in a really weird time where we're not even going to be able to trust the data soon. And the data is not good. I don't have to tell you guys know my stance on this, but it's becoming more and more clear now that there's just a massive, massive disconnect between the stock market, which has been relatively bubbly in the past few months, and the real world ability of people to find jobs. And firing our BLS statistician is not making any of that better. So that's where we're at. That's the update I wanted to give on what's going on today. Let me know your thoughts. It's fucking crazy. It's Banana Republic shit.
Okay, one more thing while I'm walking through the airport. The two companies that I mentioned, Meta and Microsoft, that had bombshell earnings beats, they're laying people off. Okay, they're not even hiring. So even the companies that are doing well aren't hiring. It's terrible. It's a terrible job market. All right, wish me luck. I'm going to Canada. Bye.
Here's the deal, everyone. Xbox blinked. 2 months ago, they bet that $80 was going to be the new normal for video games. Today, they're walking that back. The Outer Worlds 2 has just dropped from $80 to $70. But here's the thing. This is not just about one game. This is Xbox fundamentally admitting that they got their analysis of the market dead wrong. As we get to this story, there's something dead important to remember. Inside these companies, there are always people that agree with you. I mean, seriously, I can do a video skewering a company, and guess what I can find in my email or, other places? People in the company saying, we're saying the same thing internally, but we're just not getting cut through with management. And for today's story, there's no person more relevant than Brandon Adler. That's because he's the game director of The Outer Worlds 2. And back at Summer Games Fest, he tried to give a shocking thing in the industry, a human response to the $80 news. Games Radar captured it. Here's the quote: "We're a game developer. We love to make games. We don't set the prices for our games. Like, personally, as a game developer, I wish everybody could play my game because that's what I want out of this whole thing. But for the reasons and why the $79.99 price point, you'd honestly have to talk to the Xbox folks." That's what he said, firmly saying, look, that's a thing for Xbox, not for me. I'm the video game man. Because here's the reality. $80 for a game is just a lot of money. I mean, just $70 is a lot of money. $60 is still a lot of money. Adler obviously knows that. Just look at how he responded. He wants to make games that people can enjoy, and he knows that $80 is going to be a breaking point for many, many players. But Obsidian, the developer that he works for, does not make that decision. I would not even be surprised if Obsidian opposed it, but the reality is that Xbox does control everything here, and they made the choice to raise the price, just like they have now made the choice to drop the price again. The price for The Outer Worlds 2 is dropping to $69.99, and Obsidian got to play this off with some fun, like, in-universe posting, which is a cute move. It does fit the game's tone, but let's just get concrete about this. In a statement to Windows Central, Microsoft gave their rationale here, and I'll quote it so that, you know, there's no doubt. "We're focused on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and we'll keep our full-priced holiday releases, including The Outer Worlds 2, at $69.99, in line with current market conditions." Now, I will straight up say, I don't believe Microsoft. I don't think that's their vision. I think bringing epic worlds to players is in fact the developer's mission. I think that Microsoft is an enterprise software company that's currently in the middle of a hard pivot towards artificial intelligence, and they care about growth of that more than anything else. But hey, maybe we're the fools for expecting corporate communication to come off right and to not essentially just be what it always is. Complete bullshit. Anyway, back to the pricing. They are offering to refund people the difference. However, some retailers are making players seek those refunds out for themselves, which sure is kinda scummy. Will everybody see this news? I don't know, probably not. What matters though is we're back to $70, and that even a big company like Microsoft have basically been forced back there, I think does actually matter. Now, what does this mean? Well, The Outer Worlds 2 is going to cost $10 more than the first game cost back in 2019, which is not an unusual thing in 2025. And if they had started here, it would have shown Xbox taking the franchise seriously. Instead, what it shows is greed. Just that. It shows that they overreached. And in overreaching, they showed their hand. They showed their desperation. Because you must remember, this is the same company that was so disconnected from reality that they set Redfall at $70. So yeah, they're kinda deluded. But wait, the premium edition with advanced access and 2 DLC expansions is still $99.99, which is actually $10 more than before, since of course the base version has dropped. Does kind of make sense though. Xbox has made good money from Game Pass users pre-ordering premium upgrades. I mean, remember Starfield? How many people paid extra just for 5 days of early play? But what I'd say really matters for this story is pre-orders, because pre-orders are almost certainly why this whole reversal has happened. Neither you nor I are shocked that this is actually not about bringing players epic worlds, and that it's about money. Microsoft would not make a change if they didn't have to. This is not charitable, this is mercenary, this is business. I'd put forward that what's really happening is that after 2 months on offer, pre-orders were probably not hitting targets. And often, this is something that is a bit of how the sausage is made, you will essentially see that games will have pre-order targets, and if a game is seen to be falling behind its targets, well, their overall financial model for a game, right, will often be based on pre-order numbers, on pre-order velocity. So if that is weak, it will actually start to scare these people shitless. Because what they understand is not that an amazing game will make people excited and then people will go and buy it. No, what they understand is they have a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet has a financial model, and surely it is that spreadsheet that will predict future reality perfectly, and not something like just trying to focus maximally on the game experience being good. I think for so many of the outsized successes we see in the industry, well, those successes are not something that could be captured in a spreadsheet, because you can't pre-rationalize and predict it, you absolute fools. But again, it's Microsoft, an enterprise software company, and if you want to know why I basically fucking hate their guts at this stage, take a look at this video from over on our Warcraft channel. It's kind of personal. Anyway, even with Game Pass and premium upgrades driving revenue, they still do need actual sales. The reason why is simple. It's because Game Pass and Obsidian are separate lines of business. Now, we recently learned that Game Pass is actually profitable, with a bit of an asterisk about what you count there. But we also learned that studios do have sales targets that are separate from Game Pass players. Which I get, but also it's kind of like, hey, Mr. Studio, you missed your sales target. Because everybody went and got the game in Game Pass, which is also a thing that we do, and now you'll be punished. It does seem like that's probably how this shakes out. Ugh. Anyway, those targets were probably not trending well at the $80 price point. I mean, look at Microsoft's statement again. Quote, current market conditions. That's rather telling. Game spending has been erratic over the past 12 months. Full price releases especially so, and full priced holiday releases, well, that's not just the Outer Worlds too. That includes Call of Duty Black Ops 7. That is a game that probably could have sold at $80. Because as much as anyone tries to kill Call of Duty or have a free-to-play competitor, people buy that shit every year. But it now seems that Call of Duty will not be $80. It doesn't seem that Xbox are dismissing $80 forever, but at least for now, it does appear to be a settled matter. You see, when Microsoft made this bet, they were banking on several factors. A weak 2025 holiday release schedule meant fewer options for players. You've got this big pool of consumer money, and if there's not as many games for that money, then it'll go towards your game, even if it is a little bit more expensive. They would have thought that Obsidian's track record would have enticed people, and crucially, that more companies would try $80. But they didn't. That, in a way, is the shocking thing. As an example, and this just broke as I went to record this video, Electronic Arts appeared to be so sick of being asked by analysts at their earnings calls about $80 that they overtly asked them to stop asking them about the $80 issue. Seemingly EA just saying, no, we're not doing it for now. Stop asking us, it's getting tiresome. And I think we've got further proof. You see, when games went from $60 to $70, the people leading the charge were Take-Two. Here's what's interesting though. Borderlands and Mafia are Take-Two games, but they're not going to be $80. GTA might be $80, but seemingly other Take-Two games aren't. It seems that even the people who are the most willing to put those prices up, well, they're not willing to. As for PlayStation, they've only got Ghost of Yotai this year, so they're probably not risking rocking any boats. Essentially then what happened is, Xbox saw a few people go bullish with $80, and they pushed all their chips forward, only to have everyone else around the table fold. Now Nintendo did have their $80 game, that's true, but Nintendo had something that Xbox doesn't as much. A bit of an ace up their sleeve. There's many things we can't trust Nintendo for, but we can trust them to actually release good games that are broadly going to be worth the money and can give you fun for years and years and years on end. When Microsoft announced $80 for Outer Worlds 2, we were kind of confused because it was a sequel to a well-received but kind of niche action RPG. And yes, it was from a beloved studio, but it wasn't a big tentpole franchise. It didn't have a wow factor, you know, that legacy of quality, that scale to just demand attention. It very much was not going to be a GTA. So in short, it was probably a bad choice to ask $10 more for it. It lacked the feeling of an $80 game, regardless of its actual quality. And the feeling of an $80 game is such an important thing, seriously guys. Remember Space Marine 2? Now, Saber, who are the dev, their CEO, Matthew Karch, he actually talked about pricing psychology. And when he did, he said that the game needed to be $70 because that's what people expected of AAA games. And because of that, if it wasn't $70, a potential customer would look at it and think, oh, that's a AAA game, but it seems they can't even justify charging full price. I guess it's not good. And he said that even though he also thought that $70 would eventually fail. I think eventually being the sort of keyword there. Now, we do have proof that $80 can work, and this is where we get back to Nintendo. Mario Kart World apparently hit an 85% attach rate on Switch 2, and that's without counting the digital sales. Now, it does help that it was basically the only Switch 2 game, also that it was Mario Kart, and that it came with a $30 discount in the console bundle. But you see, that was strategy. Nintendo told people that Mario Kart World was worth $80. Then they gave them a way to cheat that and save $30 through the bundle. And unlike most, Nintendo are actually renowned for quality. And that's the other big difference between Nintendo and Microsoft. In a world of minimum viable products, you know, cough cough Microsoft, what Nintendo embodies is a better mantra. Simple, lovable, complete. And Nintendo's track record is basically that since day one. They are renowned for kinda never missing. Xbox is not renowned for that. They're renowned for things like running many studios into the ground, completely botching multiple eras of consoles, and now most recently, destroying the lives of like thousands of game developers, cancelling so many games we basically can't even count them, and just wreaking untold havoc and damage on the games industry. They're fucking villains. Though I should point out a similarity with Nintendo, right? Because not much unlike their Mario Kart Gambit, Xbox kind of had something similar here, right? Because it's awesome if they sell a game for $80, but at the very least, well, $80 sure does make Game Pass look like a good deal. And that's actually where it kind of gets interesting to me, because we know that the studios have got separate sales targets, not counting Game Pass. And that would essentially mean that, computing all the numbers, not even the Game Pass thing was enough for them to be able to justify $80. But you see, there's a core difference between this and what Nintendo were able to do. So much of their revenue now comes from PS5. That means that the Game Pass thing can't magically save them. So with PS5 releases driving their revenue, it seems that $80 is actually too much risk and that they could not hold the line. Where we're left is this. The bar overall has been raised in the games industry. Nintendo is not trying to clear it every time though. I mean, Donkey Kong Bonanza was actually not $80. Rockstar and Take-Two might push for $80 with GTA. They'll sell that regardless, but for everybody else, trying to clear that $80 bar will hurt, because that's a lot of money. Unless, you know, they're very confident and they think they've got an utter banger of a game. Here's the trick though. They don't really have to. Matthew Ball pointed this out in his recent State of Gaming report. Basically, the industry didn't need every game at $80 to change overall pricing. All that it needed to do was move the Overton window. Because The Outer Worlds is now $70. Games like Expedition 33 can retail at $50. What we're maybe realizing is that players are more comfortable paying a little down the chain. And the publishers, well, they are now very aware of that. So things are changing. Very bullish assessments made by technocratic morons who think that their spreadsheet will in fact represent what the future is going to be, are finding themselves fundamentally ill-equipped for today's world. But to bring this down to earth, for your wallet, for my wallet, the good news is that Overton window has not shifted as much as it otherwise may have, and at least we'll be saving a few dollars versus a potential timeline the industry could have went in. I do think that in 2 or 3 years, $80 will probably be normal, but at least for now, your lack of pre-orders has won. Your comments online have won. This actually does prove that you guys, the audience, the customer, that you drive this shit. And speaking of the audience maybe not being fully served by the decisions of a big games company, oh boy, 1047 Games, it ain't looking good. You can learn about the unlaunching of Splitgate 2 over here.
Western Gate, this is really sad, bro.
So I'm very much a homebody, almost embarrassingly so. And
Yeah.
weekends are when I have the most time to dive into whatever game I'm currently playing through. Up until about 3 weeks ago, that was Clair Obscur, which, yes, I finally beat. But this weekend was no different.
The best game
It's
this year.
midnight on Friday
Not
night,
close.
and I'm working my way through Stellar Blade while
Oh.
my half-started copy
I
of
beat that
First
game.
Berserker Kazan is staring at me
Yeah.
from my backlog. And as I was running around Zion, something
Bro, is this Infinity Nikki? Tell me right now, is this Infinity Nikki? I want to let you guys know that I've never seen the game, and I automatically knew what game it was because every gacha game is copy-pasted from each other, and the hearts as the fucking screen here. I've never seen a single image of gameplay of this ever.
just clicked. Both of these games have super fun, fluid combat. Both have very attractive protagonists.
They do.
Both nail that one more try addiction.
You want to
that
know what's really sad, guys? Is that in high school, I wanted to grow my hair out to be like this. It's bad, bro. It's real bad.
keeps you glued to your screen,
Yeah.
and they're both Korean made. As I realized
sucks,
this,
right?
it hit me.
Yeah.
Where did Korean developers quietly start dropping all these bangers? I started looking into it, and I guess this has just gone completely under my radar, but developers from China and Korea, places that
So with Korean games, the characters are hot, the gameplay is good, but the game's pay to win. That's the way it works.
historically haven't made double or AAA titles have really been knocking it out of the park
Yeah, they have
lately.
been.
And obviously, Japan has always had their share of home runs too. But these days, with how expensive games are becoming and with how awful some of our choices are, this really means a lot. We're naturally gravitating towards the games that respect our time and money, and over the past couple years, Eastern developers have been pulling us in like a black hole, and I'm loving it. It's no
Well,
secret
there's
that
another one too, right? And like this new game came out, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers came out kind of recently. Let me see if I can pull it up. This game is actually, it sold very, very well as far as I know. It had a peak of 131,000 players. So this is a brand new one that just came out that has that level of success. It's ass. I don't think it's ass. I think it's pretty good.
Elden Ring and the Soulsborne formula have inspired many of these Eastern developers. And how could they not? Elden
Performance
Ring
issues?
was
Yeah,
a
true.
cultural phenomenon, and yes,
All the negative reviews are from performance primarily, and they're completely deserved, and the performance in the game sucks massive dick.
Gamers claim Souls-like fatigue, but I think that fatigue only happens when the games are bad. So
Yeah.
just like what Mr. Gunn said, it's really just bad game fatigue.
That's
Here's-
exactly, she's totally right about that. And also Souls-like games, the entire idea of something being Souls-like, I feel like there are a lot of games that are action combat games that have checkpoints with refillable healing items that you continuously go through that give you different ways of avoiding damage and fighting monsters and killing bosses. Like Dark Souls wasn't the first game that's ever invented this idea. It's been very common.
the thing though, these Eastern developers saw the genuine love and excitement people had for this genre and thought, we can make something players will love too. Most recently, we saw this with Wu Chang Fallen Feathers.
There it
yeah,
is.
there were optimization issues at launch, but you can still see that this smaller team was genuinely trying to make something they thought would resonate with players. And since launch, they've apologized, they've released patches, and they've even given away in-game loot.
Just fix the performance.
Come on, they're obviously doing their best
Yeah.
and working for us. They made this.
These guys have got it. You have to optimize these games. Like we've had so many, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Wu Chang, Wukong had a little bit of problems with this too. Like these games need to be optimized.
Game for us, the players, and they want us to enjoy it and love it. That's the difference. Some developers are genuinely trying to make games with us in mind, and others just aren't. And the crazy
Well,
thing,
they're making games for themselves. That's the problem, is that developers in America make games for themselves. And the issue is that nobody wants to be the average video game developer in America. They would much rather be Puppet, Timothy Chalamet, Wukong, John Souls, Kazan, or, the Jon Snow here in Crimson Desert. That's the reason why.
is that these Eastern developers haven't discovered some secret formula. They're not doing anything new or groundbreaking. They're just getting back to the basics, making games that respect players and want them to have fun. So all of this got me thinking about the state of our industry. What is happening with Western developers and how are they so far behind their Eastern counterparts? Now, before we get into the whole East versus West thing, let's be real. The gaming industry is getting squeezed from every direction. We've now got credit card companies trying to censor gaming content, games disappearing when servers shut down, hence the Stop Killing Games initiative, rising development costs making everyone risk-averse, live service pressure from investors.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That's where we're at right now with video games. In my opinion, I think that we are in a golden age of video games, but I think that it is also a gilded age of video games, where we have a massive amount of high quality games, we are also reducing the amount of freedoms that we have as consumers through live service. We are having an encroaching amount of microtransactions that are being forced into video games. And I think that especially Western AAA video games are recycling the same formulas ad nauseum to the effect that people don't even want to play the games anymore. And so I think there's just been so many of these that have happened that people are just tired of it at this point.
Prioritization of modern ideology over good
The
gameplay.
consumers allowed it. They did.
And us just paying more than ever for games that we don't actually own. The entire industry is getting hit from all sides. Eastern developers, Western developers, everyone's facing the same stuff one way or another. But how these developers respond is what tells you everything. When faced with the challenges, some developers are doubling down on actually caring about us, the players, because they understand we're the ones who can actually help them succeed, while others have just...
It's also an investment, right? I mean, like these Asian companies are not doing it because they love us or something. They're doing it because they think it's the best option for their business. And what they're learning is that they're right. That's the issue, is that these developers in China and Korea and Japan, their goal is to sell copies of a video game. And developers in America specifically, their goal is to send a message. And sorry, one of those things is just simply, and also the problem is that the message sucks. It's some weird contrived, it's basically like a fat 15-year-old goth girl's imagination of what if everything that she thought was right and her parents were wrong about everything else. That's basically it.
Stopped listening to us entirely. So let's do a little dissecting of what the West has been up to. Now, be warned. It's a little bit depressing, but don't worry, we'll get through it together. And then we'll look at how Eastern developers are truly here to save the day and how not all hope is lost. Going back through gaming history...
And this is another reason why it's great to have a global economy, is that because Western developers effectively had, for a very... I think Wukong, there were 2 points of massive breakthrough. The first point was Genshin Impact, because that was the first gacha game that broke into the American Western audience in a big way. And then the second point was Black Myth Wukong. Because at the beginning, they said, okay, we can at least get people to play gacha games. And then Wukong comes out and they said, we can at least get people to play AAA quality, fucking insane single-player games that are made with our culture and our style. Lost Ark as well. Yeah, Lost Ark was a little bit. Yes, those were the games that genuinely penetrated the Western market and made way for all of the other games to come out